All right, what's up, guys? Anthony Special here with Hawkeye Traders. Want to talk about the opening bell of the S&P 500 this morning. Okay, these are markets that I trade live every day: Nasdaq, S&P, crude oil, and gold. So I want to talk about kind of what I identified, when, where, how this all transpired, and what the day ultimately went on to do. Okay. So 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the open of the U.S. session. All right. I want you to take note of this very specific candle right here, and I also want you to take note of this very specific ultra high buying volume that occurred right here as well. Okay. Now I am shooting this as the market is still transpiring. So I want to dive into what we saw this morning, and then I also want to talk about kind of how it played out and how it's recovering here at the moment as we're running into the closing bell. I want you to take notice, before that candle printed, this was the single largest buying volume candle of the session, all right, even including the overnight. If you want to take a look there, that's all the way back to 1800 Eastern Standard Time the night before. So right here, 9:30, the U.S. Open. Notice how large that buying candle is with the ultra-high buying volume radar dot. And notice that the candle opened and closed at the exact same place. Okay? This is notable. We need to look at candles like this and go, well, how come all that buying volume came in, but there was no advancement of price? That's concerning, and we should be concerned. In fact, if you notice, we retest the wick and are unsuccessful in pushing lower. I'm going to mark this off because I think it's meaningful, and I want to look at how it was played out later throughout the balance of the day. I'm going to make this white just so that it doesn't interrupt anything. And that very specific candle has a whole bunch of meaning. In fact, we are reacting to it as we speak. Okay? So, ultra-high buying volume, no follow-through to the upside. In fact, what happens? We push here to the downside, right? So the market is reacting to this. And I want you to notice that this specific candle became resistance or supply here, 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 multiple times. And in fact, it's happening right now as we're at the closing bell, ticking away as we speak. So you can see it's 16:01 going on 16:02 Eastern Standard Time. That is 4 p.m. New York City time on the New York Stock Exchange. Okay, that's when the market's closing, and you can see even that ultra high buying volume, we are now reacting to this area again. So what does that tell you? By understanding what's happening in one singular candle, okay, the 9:30 a.m. candle, you could have known that if we were unsuccessful in getting back above this, the market was likely to do what? Go lower, right? Because this candle has provided supply. Now, we specifically looked at this low while we were all together this morning live, taking a look at the market. And this low, we had trouble getting through, okay? But I want you to notice that we did eventually kind of pull in to this area here and ultimately broke it. So this is what we would call a trend line for those of you who are unfamiliar. You want that trend line to have a minimum of 3 touches. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just short of 10 touches on that trend line, both above and below it. So that's the meaningful spot to place the trend line. You can see we closed below it. We came back and retested it couple times here, and then we continue to sell off. So just from a basis of understanding what happened in that particular candle, we could surmise that that supply area, right, we can create a thesis that that supply area would tell us that if the market's unsuccessful in going higher, there's a chance that we push lower, right? Now, again, do I suspect that you grabbed this entire move to the downside? No. But let's say you combined volume with price action, right? We broke this trend line. We came back to retest it. This should now be considered resistance. pushing through back to this low here. You got about 26 or 27 ticks there. Pushing into this new low here, you got about 54 ticks. And pushing into the absolute session low, you have about 111 ticks. Again, am I saying you're going to catch all of that? No. But had you been able to simply interpret the highest volume traded was in the 9:30 a.m. candle, knowing that the bias was long based on the print of the Hawkeye volume, and knowing that every time we tested that candle, we failed to break above it, that means we've created an area of supply. Okay? If you want to combine very basic price action, we have a trend line here that runs from this low as we continue to push higher into this area that does not get successfully closed below until we reach this area. And more importantly, I prefer the retest because I like confirmation. That is retested again here at 1:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time before the market takes a bath of a sell-off. Now, with that statement being made, understanding that we did dance around in this area, okay, that was pretty meaningful. I want you to also notice the wick of this wide bar here. All right, this was ultra high selling volume. I want you to just notice that by just looking at these ultra high volume candles, notice the retest here, price breaks below, comes back, where does it retest to? It retests to the low of this candle. Right? So by just having an understanding of volume and price action, identifying where the ultra high buying and selling volume is, where the ultra high radar dots are being plotted and the wide bars are being placed, you can very easily, I mean, I have very little drawing here. I'll take it all off so you can see. I mean, that's my whole analysis is a box, a trend line, and some lows here running into a prior high, a future high, I should say. You can see we had support here, price was broken through, retest what was previously support 1, 2, 3, even 4 times, broken, now proves to be resistance. And that right there is the ultimate entry into the absolute tumble. Now, was it as big as catching it from the high? No, but 91 ticks roughly from the retest of what was previously support, now newly appointed resistance. Guys, you're only going to recognize these areas when you're able to understand where the volume is being plotted, right? When, where, why is the volume, the highest volume being traded? Can I now take an understanding of that and then put together a thesis around it saying, all right, highest buying volume, for some reason we can't seem to get above it. That means we're probably going to go below it, right? In this instance here, high selling volume can't seem to close below it. What does that mean? We're going to push back up to resistance, this trend line that we have drawn here. You can negotiate back and forth between volume and price until your trade plan is met, right? For me, when a break of a trend line, I don't trade the break of a trend line. I trade the retest. Why? Because I want to sell high if at all possible, right? The market just placed a new lower low. So what should the market do if this resistance holds? We should place a new another new lower low, right? And that's all just by following the sequence of volume and price action. And again, this can all be done, right? We'll give you the indicators. We'll give you the Hawkeye paint bar, the Hawkeye volume, the Hawkeye radar dots, the Hawkeye wide bar. Okay. We'll also give you access to our Hawkeye volume and price action mastery library, where you're going to get access to understanding all of this stuff, right? Because if I give you the indicators, you're going to go, I don't understand how to use them, right? So now you need to take the indicators and apply the practical component of the understanding of the mastery components that will teach you, hey, when we get high buying or selling volume, we need to now start looking in and around those areas for a reason where price action will give us confirmation. Again, live, this transpired this morning, live, this low transpired, and I said if we can't get through the wick of this candle, we're not going to go lower. But if we can, Here's the pullback, right? Here's the pullback. Right? If we broke it immediately, that's one thing. But since time went on, we continued to push higher and higher and higher. Notice that when we reach this level, we put in a very slightly lower high. Right? We're at like 29.25 right there. And over here, we're at 28.50. So slightly lower high. Then we break this low, we retest, and we're off to the races. Had you just waited for my comment that I had mentioned earlier, a break of this low, you would have endured this pullback if you went off the wide bar, which I would not trade off of. That's probably too aggressive for me. But had you just been patient and waited, this was the prime opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to wait, because Anthony said that this area may be very significant. And price breaks, retests, and then breaks again. So here's the close below. Here's the retest of that level itself very specifically, right there. Okay, and that occurred at 2:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can see from there, that retest, the close of that candle, again, we fell 69 ticks, and we plummeted straight down. What would I have done from here? I would have taken some very quick profits at these prior lows, and then I would have continued to take profits as we pushed lower. But again, the price action analysis becomes very simple when you know where to look based upon the volume. So if you want to learn more about that, there's links below this video. I encourage you to click on them, consume the content, reach out to myself, my Hawkeye Concierge team. We will answer your questions, get this technology in your hands, get you access to the Mastery library so that you can understand the relationship between volume and price action, which is absolutely foundational of a foundational component of any and every trade plan. It doesn't matter if you're day trading, swing trading, or position trading, whether it's stocks, futures, forex, cryptocurrencies, it doesn't matter. If you do not have a complete understanding of volume and price action, every other component you stack into your trade plan is going to fall short. And I'm sorry to tell you that. Because if you can't build off of volume and price action, you're missing the most important foundational components. So again, there's links below. I encourage you to click on them. Feel free to reach out. And I want you to just notice as I'm wrapping up here, this candle that placed at 1600 Eastern Standard Time inside that zone we marked off of the 930 candle is in fact falling back. God bless.